Alright, so hi everyone, and welcome back to the Mixdown video. My name is Lex and I'm a mastering engineer for Spicy. And alright, so straight up, for today's record we have a song titled 7 a.m. in Jones by an artist I call Snow. And so disclaimer before we begin, this record has a lot of explicit language or vocabularies in it. So it's a beautiful record, but you might just need to be careful playing this around kids. So this is meant for the grown-ups, apparently. All right. So for this record, uh, all right, cool. I engineered the beats. I mixed the beats in, as in the beats multi-track in the song project itself. So beautiful. It's a simple one. It's a simple mix. And before we begin, let's touch on something. Let's divert a bit. Because based on the interactions I've had with few music creatives and executives, they tend to mix up a music producer, a beat maker, a mix engineer, a mastering engineer, a recording engineer. They tend to just mix all of it together. So I'm just going to just explain a bit before I dive into the mix down itself. So real quick, recording engineer, just short form, the record every element that is needed to be recorded, live elements that needs to be recorded. You can use the word cut. They tend to cut live elements. For example, your vocals, might be pianos, might be orchestra, anything that needs to be cut into the project. Whereas your beat maker, they make the beat. Yes, they can either use samples they got from Splice, etc. and samples that was even recorded by a recording engineer, or they recorded themselves, and to hook up the instrumentation itself. Most of the instrumentations we have these days are sort of made from samples, you get. And music producers, they oversee everything right from the cradle to the release of the project itself. So that's what music producer is. The music producer can either hire recording engineer, a beat maker, mixing engineer, machine engineer, or can actually be everything all together. There are no bad sides to being a music producer that does all together. The only issue is you'll be able to work on the record part time, which simply means you might spend span of 2 months releasing, or 3 months before you from cradle to the finish of the record. So the amount of records you're going to be releasing will be small, sort of. Would be the number or the quantity would be little. So for the mixing engineer gets all the files from either the producer or the beat maker or the recording engineer, which most preferably is the recording engineer, because recording engineers are more equipped to send multi-tracks properly. Yeah, we're going to talk about multi-tracks and we're going to talk about stems before we begin the mix. I know some people might actually know this, but let's just still talk about it before I dive into this mixdown video. So the recording engineer prepares the multi-tracks or the stems depending on what the mix engineer feels he can work on, he or she can work on, and mostly they receive both dry and wet multi-tracks, you get. So when it gets to the mix engineer's point, is meant to, he or she is meant to balance the sounds. You get balance all the elements, the items in it, to make sure that they are not interfering and they are properly translating the feel that the artist or the creative wanted people to actually grab from the project itself. After all that is done and is accepted by the ENR's labels team, it goes to mastering engineer, and we'll talk about mastering later on, because mastering has evolved. It has evolved from, oh, I'm trying to make the record loud. No, it has evolved from you trying to print on CDs, trying to print on vinyl records, trying to do this whole loudness war during the CD's time. Nah, presently mastering is more of quality control. Let's listen through. Do we have clicks? Do we have pops? What's the quality of what we have? What's the loudness of this record with respect to other records in the same field range, in the same energy spectrum, and the same genre? You get in the same collection of sounds, or in the same from the same geographical zone, you get, or targeted towards similar audience. You get spectrum of audience. So the machine engineer is meant to do quality control. Do I have it loud enough? Is it too loud? Should we drop the volume? Those specific takes apparently. So it's less of trying to get loudness. When you work with some artists and they go, oh, no problem, we'll get it louder in the mastering. Yes, works. But that's like old school mastering. New school mastering, you should be as loud as possible, as loud as you want to get, or you're capable of getting in the mix. Funny enough, whenever I mix a record, the record is like done. It's like, that's what I want. You get, I don't leave any job for the mastering. But we send it for mastering so they can actually run a quality control all through. You get, is the macro dynamics. I would say macro dynamics is what's the energy translation or the impedance level between using impedance impedance level between the choruses and the verse or the bridges. Do we need to drop some elements there? You get, if you can drop, if the elements are dropped during the mix, we can emphasize more on that during mastering. You get, by using volume, by using dynamics. So basically volume dynamics to just create a swell when it gets into the chorus, or a swell when it gets into the verse, depending on what the creative has done on the record. So apparently that is it. So let's dive into this. We've spent I think like 4 5 minutes talking about this. So all right, cool. Straight up into mix. All right. I have you should know I boss my elements. So I have my melody boss here, and my drum boss here, and I've done a pre-mix. You get, and cool. So after premix, what I do is I tend to before I use plugins on there, I tend to do a little bit of volume matching. I listen to songs that sound like what the creative is trying to do, and I tend to further emphasize the feel the creative was going for by pulling some elements low, pushing some elements up front. From the production stage, some elements might be too upfront for me, and I'm like, nah, this is shadowing, or it's shadowing what I actually want the record to feel or sound like. Let's push this back, let's pull this forward. So on the items itself or themselves, you can see the volume changes there. That is pre-feeder volume changes. Some call it clip gaining, some call it pre-feeder moves, some call it volume depends. So you can see the difference in the volumes there. Please do not care about the numbers. Same as what I'm showing the numbers, so you can have an understanding that I was trying to look for balance with respect to volume before the mix itself. So I do that too across the vocals. So it's more like volume automation. You get, so across the vocals. So this is the first element. What do we have there? We have an EQ. Okay. I find myself rolling a lot of I up until 2100. Let's see. What's this? We'll play with and without. So without. All right, so if you listen to the weights and the without, for the weights, it felt a little bit not distorted, but sort of like it has a lot of beautiful ringings, not bad ringings. Now, beautiful ringings and resonances at the top end of this element. They are beautiful, they are musical, they are not something I meant to go and start notching them out at all. They have no issues. The only problem I had with it was I felt I needed the low end element to be low end element. Okay, I needed to be, because that's the, I think, let's check if I have any other sub elements. I do not have any sub element. That's the only sub element I have. So I needed it to be super sub element. I don't want it maintaining any high frequency band, you get, and a spectrum, and I do not want it competing with any element in the high frequency spectrum, in as much as it is musical and it's beautiful that way. And due to the fact that I was able on playing with the EQ, I discovered that specific buzzy energy I was looking for, I was able to get it. So which simply means there was no need, or there is no need for me to say I'm trying to saturate the low end. No. That would only occur if that is not what I'm going for, or there's no way for me to reach out to the producer for them to cook up a new bass element for me. So yeah, done. So let's listen to it in context. So let's pick the center.
Confidence be like gold, banana alibi. Any young for their face, give them calabai. You need like student and a fast be my alibi. 7 a.m. Where you? In Anthony Jones. I'm up there. Men they high, men they fuck, men they Jones. On colos. 7 a.m. Where you? In Anthony Jones. I'm up there. Men they high, men they fuck, men they Jones. On colos.
All right, so let's take the vocals out first. Let's just work with the instrumentation, the balance of the instrumentation. So, all right, this element right here. Let's see, what process do we have on here? Oh, this is quite opposite of what we had previously, and this is just around 230. And what element is this? Let me be very honest with you. There are some situations whereby I put an EQ on an element, and I won't lie. Well, possibly because I'm using a consumer headphone to record this. Possibly when if I play through, due to the fact that I've mixed a lot of records after, so I can't really tell. So possibly if I play through the monitors, I'll be able to hear a difference. But honestly speaking, through the consumer headphones, I can't hear a difference. But one thing we need to understand is the technicalities of it. When you tend to shelve things that way, or you tend to bypass some elements like this that you most likely don't need them sitting in the low end or having any characteristics of their spectrum sitting in the low end, and you bypass them, you are sort of creating a space for the low end element to have nothing to compete with, to just be on its own. So it's like creating a prosperous field for your low end element, and that is what I did there. That's why I did there. Would anything change if I do not pass it, if I don't I pass it? That's a low cut. Not really. Not really. I might need to battle some rumbleness, possibly during mastering or when I'm trying to get to a suitable level during the mix. And that's majorly the issue that would occur. Not like the song would not be great if I did not I pass it. No. But so that I do not face those issues later on in the future, I prefer to actually solve those issues now. So additionally, one beautiful thing that we need to learn there is the fact that 1 minute. All right. Additionally, one beautiful thing that we need to learn. All right. So cool. Let's continue. So we have another element here. Let's check, do we have any processes on that? Oh, similar process, even similar frequency points for the low cut. Sorry, for the high pass here, low cut. All right, so for the piano elements, I sort of add an high pass and a low pass on there. So I just wanted it to, I guess that's what I'm just explaining what I did during the mix. So I just the pastel wanted only the mid-range energy, not really mid-range, sort of like the low mid, high mid, no highs, no lows, no subs, to be the frequency band maintained by that element. So I'm going to play this without processes and with the processes. Now wait. You should also take note that when I did the without and the weights, I have sort of like a stop limiter on there acting as a volume knob for me. It's not pushing against the ceiling, but it's pushing the volume forward a bit, because when I mix, I tend to turn things just unnecessarily low, super low. So sometimes I have to crank my 3 ampere to be able to listen. Sometimes it's so low, it's so low. So let's take this off and let's get to the drums. Drums are just 2 elements, by the way, just 2 elements. I think I tried something on here and I just removed it and just placed it on everything all together. We'll say she should have put a verb on the kick. Oh yeah, I did. All right, so I'm not even sure there's a kick element. This is just a snare element. Wow, fire. I have no kicks here. All right, so we are going to listen to there is a similarity. Okay. So for my snare element, I did the same thing, I guess. Let's switch off the EQ I had on there. Let's see why I had the EQ on there. All right. Now this is the thing here. The first one without the EQ sounds great, actually sounds beautiful. The only difference I had was that the first one without the EQ sounds more like a sample, and with the EQ sounds more alive. So I guess when I was mixing the record, I was going for either because I'm not sure I would have done this intentionally. I felt like I would have done it based on the feel. You can seem like I went there and I was like, if I do this EQ move, I do this EQ move, that's what I'm going to get. No, 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 no. That's absolutely not what I did. I guess I just stumbled upon it. So without the EQ, it felt more like a sample. It felt solid. With the EQ, it felt flawed, and it's sort of like it's now closer, the transient of the snare is closer to its tail, and this is done without compression, by the way. There is no compression on it, it's just volume and EQ. So the transient felt closer to the tail because that smackiness was already chopped off when I was low passing. So the smackness of the smackness of the snare was already chopped off a bit, and now it's more of like the frequency that is passed is the frequency of the tail of this snare and a little bit from the smartness. So this is gotten without you trying to compress the signal. There's another way. The other way is you compress the signal, you bring the transient. If you're using a transient shaper, you chop it so low, you get that it's closer to the tail. Yes, it's close to the tail. That's you trying to increase your attack time and sort of increase your attack time, which means your attack will be faster and your release time too should be longer. So it's going to just take so much time smashing everything all together. If your release time is faster, it becomes with transient, it becomes more sample like you get. So we are not going for the sampleness. So instead of me doing all that using a compressor, we got that using an EQ. See, beautiful. Minimalist way of actually mixing a record. Let's just listen. All right, so beautiful. Let's check for the elements towards this low end. This looks like a melody element, by the way. It looks more like a melody element. What's this? Okay. Okay, so no processes on there. Let's see what I have one here. Let's put this in and see. And yeah, what I was trying to create and why I add it off. All right. So without. All right, so I think I've said that in some of my mixdown videos that sometimes you might use vibration to smoothen or to soothing things, and that was what I did right there. Well, the thing is that's not what I was looking for this specific take, so I guess I was gonna add it off, but both of them are actually great. But I guess in grand scheme of things, that was not what I was looking for when I was mixing this record. So, all right, beautiful. That is it for the instrumentation. Apart from me always having decapitator on my drums, based on the fact that I do a lot of transparent mixes. See, I'm using a stock EQ. There is no source or anything there. I'm using stock EQ volume. So that little dirtiness, so my mix does not feel so digital. To get that little bit of analog emulations we get from a recreation of the physical gears, I had to, no, that's one of the reasons why I do have a decapitator on there, so I can generate that level of saturation, that level of dirtiness from it. So I just drive it up a bit. Sometimes I engage, for example, this one, there is a little bit of low pass on here. There is a low pass on high cut on there, and I think there is just tiny little bit of an high pass on there. You get to keep my drums and sort of not mid-range this time around, but it's more like combat. You get, so my vocals can take the other space. You get, my vocals can take the other space. Okay, I didn't do anything about the tone, and I also use the thermal settings, the T. That's my favorite actually. I use the T on vocals, I use the T on drums. If you find me using anything apart from the T, possibly P or something, that's I don't know, that's weird. That's if the vocals are not recorded right or something. I don't know. But I love this. I love this I love this version, this mode of it. I made a tweet about all this a while back, talking about how they were emulated from different consoles and gears, and what by manual, what they're meant to add, or the characters they're meant to add to your instrumentation or to your elements. Yeah, so yeah, that's it for the instrumentation. Oh yeah, I had a little bit of this Valhalla. So yeah, whenever I add a vibration to my drums, I tend to just play around to um make you feel live a bit. We work with samples, a lot of samples, and the funny or the crazy part is the samples you're using, somebody else is also using the same sample. At the end of the day, the song will sound alike. So we are not trying to make the song sound alike. So I tend to put the drums in different rooms. At least that is meant to add the different character to the elements being used. To the elements being used. So all right. Now is to listen to the vocals. I'll play the vocals a bit without processes, then I'll play with processes, then we'll dive into what I did on there. So the goal is to okay, I've been switched off. The goal is to let's mute this instrumental. Okay. Austria. All right, so if you've been seeing me run my mixdown videos, or if you watched me mix live, I do not mind about the number of channels or the number of mixer channels or tracks or items I use in a mix. Since we are not limited to 8 tracks like 15 years back, or I don't know, 20 years back, there are situations whereby you might have to use as much tracks as possible. In situations whereby for example, you'll find me doing a little bit of DSing, possibly because I've done DSing a little bit during the premix in such a way whereby I automate the processes. If I feel like, okay, this is where the S is, just this word, just this specific an example, let's say just this specific take in the mix, I'm just going to cut that part out, pull it up, DS only that part, and leave the others. So not like run the DSR all through. Though I also have a DSR that runs all through. The function of the DSR is to attenuate some of the processes that I had already pushed up already. You get, for example, when I'm EQing or I'm running some processes, I'm pushing up some specific volume, I tend to further emphasize the sibilant band. So for me not to be working with the sibilant band further on, I just remove it, you get. But for this process, or for this channel rack, what I did was before I established, or before I pushed that sibilant band, because to be very honest, the way I mix is most of all these things are switched off. They are switched off, and when they're switched off doesn't mean that I'm going to start mixing. And when I want to mix, I have to firstly work with the EQ, then work with the no. They are just there so I can reach out to them. Most times I start with the decapitator. That's one. I start with the decapitator. Because I've cleaned up the vocals before the mix. So most times when I start with this, I go on, then I'm like, oh no, I have this sibilances, or this sibilant band that is giving me issues. Then I go on to switch on the DSR, and I work with the DSR, not after the decapitator, but before the decapitator. So when I'm doing that, I'm listening to what the decapitator is doing to the vocals. You get, I'm able to duck down those S's before they run into the decapitator. You get, so it's not I'm not running the mix is it symmetrically. I think linear. Yeah, linear is the word. I'm not running the mix linearly. I'm not trying to run through a DSR. Then that was not the intention. The intention is to make sure that my sibilant band is tucked down before it gets into the decapitator. So that's how I work these days. Previously I don't go. So that way, then I can now go back again and be like, okay, yeah, let me work on the EQ bits. I think I'm having a lot of this, and I do that with the EQ before So that is how I mix. I do not just go on and just layer them. You get the reason why I have them arranged this way is because they give me the best quality this way. You get, I do not want. You can actually, to be very honest, it's not so seriously technicality. It's not so serious. It's not like it's going to change the tonality of the mix. I can put my compressor before the EQ. I can put my EQ before the compressor. But this makes it easier for me to think. Whenever I hear an error, I can go on to fetch out where the error is. You get, or where the errors are based on my arrangement or based on my on the dynamics when I'm working on my workflow. So all right, cool. So the next part is all right. So let's solo this vocal.
Yeah. Aqualabo. Aboto. You go take a pre, where you? You go take a nigga na prene pe de matepoki. Aquala bobote. Adeni Jones. Abote. Money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fat. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor avenging when I match and Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aqualabo, gunbow, once I enter, cut throat, under my shoes, Zobo, bitches feed me, Obo, niggas iron, go low, Teddy dealer when he...
All right, cool. Now let's listen which process is on.
Yeah. Aqualabo. Aboto. You go take a pre, where you? You go take a nigga na prene pe de matepoki. Aquala bobote. Adeni Jones. Abote. Money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fat. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor avenging when I match and Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aqualabo. Gunbow. Once I enter, cut throat, under my shoes, Zobo, bitches feed me, Obo, niggas iron, go low.
All right. For the intro, all I did was stop down the volume a bit, and I had a fourth note. I had a quarter note delay. Yet just drawn all through. So so this is the thing. The dry signal for this, the way I do my automation, the dry signal is switched off is just the wet signal, so I can visually see. Now I'm not just using my ears, I'm using both the ears and the eyes. So you can visually see where my automations are, the level at which they are, their tails, etc, etc, etc. It's easier for me to visually see. So yeah, there's one I call sound design. I just use the plugin called LR Submissive. I play around with this. There are a lot of modes you'll find on there that you can use whenever you're trying to further emphasize a specific take you get in the mix. So I have them all set up, like my different FXs set up. So I just pull them in, makes my job easier. So I think I've just footnotes, footnote delay. The footnote delay low that I have on there, or the footnote delay low is a lower octave. I have altar boy on there, so I can get this feel.
Disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fat. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor avenging when I match and Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aquala.
All right. Yeah, I think you can hear that now. So it's just to further emphasize that specific take is to make you feel like there are a lot of things going on based on the fact that the record is so clean. So the plan is to dirty up some things and to create more, to add more energy to the ruggedness in the mix. That was the reason why that is there. So yeah, I still have my normal static delay, with a footnotes. I use a coupon on there, and majorly, very honest, the only things I play around with is 1, 2, which majorly this 1, 2, possibly groove and feel, which I did not even touch during this, and maybe sometimes I go with the local types, maybe sometimes. And so I have my reverb on here too, my static reverb that runs all through the record. And yeah, for this I have just an automation of this part for my verb. So let's listen to what we and why we add that on there. We'll still go back to the processes to this, but let's just touch a little bit of design here and there. So
Aqualabo, gunbo, once I enter, cutthroat, under my shoes, zobo, bitches feed me, obo, niggas iron, go low, tell the dealer when he bring you loud.
alright, cool. That was super low, but it's to elevate it away from the space it was at. It's just a little bit of subtle move, just to give it a little bit of thrust, a little bit of emphasis. Yeah, I think I'll just use the word emphasis again. I've been throwing the word emphasis around back to back. Cool. So for my lead vocals, I have a lot scattered around. Yeah, I have a riser here. The easy way I create my risers is it's sort of so easy for me to create risers. I don't do the normal printing. Let me show you an example. Let's show you an example. Cool. So we have a new track. What I do is, let's say I want to create a riser into this guy. I have a cutout. I duplicate that take. Now I've created a shortcut. You get the shortcut is I press just one key on my keyboard due to the fact that I do a lot of risers here and there. And what it does is it imputes a plugin. Now I can add processes on a specific tick or item when I am mixing. That's one of the reasons why I love this door. So the key for me, I created a shortcut. I think it's R. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's integrated for this. It should be integrated for this. It's not integrated. So this has not been updated. So yeah, the shortcut is R for my mixing PC. This is just the system I use to record videos and to edit videos. So it's not integrated for this, but when I press E, it adds the EQ to it. So this has not been integrated for me to be able to add no, it has not. This is sad. It's sad, but let's just do it manually. In as much as this is pretty much sad. All right, cool. So I created. Let's see, where is it? So there is already a template. Not template. Yeah, I created a preset. This gives me the amount of tail I need to start to create that swelling effect. So due to the fact that I see that anytime I'm recreating this, the settings I have on here mostly is always like that close. I just created one and I turned it into a preset. So yeah, so this is it. Whenever I have this on, that specific tick already has that that specific process on there. So I created a shortcut to print this or to consolidate this. And what's the shortcut for this PC so I don't mess things up? I think the shortcut for this PC is P to print. Yeah, done already. So I just pull it through, pull the specific table through. Yep, and that's still. So I also created a shortcut to reverse it. Does that again. This is it reversed. I pull it up so it's aligned with the tick I need to create a reverse reverse reverb for. Then I also created another one to make it the only tick. Then I just fade it in, fade it out. Sometimes drop the volume here, but most times if that's the track I'm going to be using for my riser, I just name it riser. Example is this one, yeah, but I didn't name it riser. I think I was trying to mix as fast as possible, and this is minus 20. For this case, I'm just going to pull this one down to the riser channel itself. So now it should be processed as a riser. So let's listen.
Preach. Aqualabo, gunboat, once I enter, cutthroat, under my shoes, Zobo, bitches feed me, Obo, niggas iron, go low, that is dealer.
Alright. I think I'm learning a lesson here. I should mix the non-explicit version, and I think that's what we're working on. Anytime I have a record, I would work on the non-explicit version. Alright, cool. So that's how I create my reverse verb takes. I don't have this shortcut created yet, so I will just copy it from the mix desk and just paste. You can import. I can import any change I make on there. I can just import it here easily. So it's just going to be updating all the three different systems I use for mixing. So yeah, let's move. The next, what's next? I've shown you the FX throws I did. We've not talked about the background vocals. Let's talk about the background vocals before we go to how I process the vocals, which is like the final part. Alright, for my background vocals, I also still use a template that makes things easier for me. I switch. Sometimes you find the flanger on, sometimes you find the flanger off, depending. So I have like an EQ on here, which is like a telephone effect. I play around with the dry wet balance, how much telephonia I want the background to be, or less telephonia. But most times when I'm working with that specific EQ, I tend to keep it below 50 most times. Then I have a Valhalla vintage verb on there to create space for the BGVs to sit. Create space for the BGVs to sit. Yeah, I have a Vox Duo. What it does is it sort of works like a doubler, pushes the specific case. I using As Effect. This uses As Effect. Sometimes I use the one that ducks down the mid channels, and when you duck down the mid channel, you don't need to increase the side. We're just going to emphasize the side down by ducking down the mid. There's also that technique, but I didn't use that on this. Use that on this. I think roughly spent just few hours mixing this. Cool. Alright. So for this specific take, I ran them straight up center, no processing. They're just going to be there. Not technically at the center because the vocals they are not really at the center. When they came to me, they were already panned. You can check the difference between the left and the right signals. One is the amplitude of one is like sort of more than the other, so they're going to lean towards different part of the different years or different sides. So yeah, This is how it came to be, so I just worked that way. Another way is for me to mono the signal itself. I can do that by clicking options. I go to, I think, item settings. Yeah, then I can take any part of the signal I want. I can take the mono mix down, I can take the left, I can take the right, any which way. But that was not what I was going for. That's not what I was going for. So I just focus what the artist created already. So it will not be too far from the demo, but it's still going to be beautiful. So same thing with this. But for this, due to the fact that it is close to the end of the track, it's like a climax point, I did not put them at the center. I just put them at the point whereby they will be pushed apart more, even if they are tending towards both ends of the listening spectrum with respect to sides. All right, so same thing for this specific take on there, pushed to the sides. Oh, let's do one. Let's listen without this one.
7 a.m.
No, let's listen for this part without this, without it on.
7 a.m. When you in a Denny Jones, man they high, man they fuck, man they Jones. On Colos, you go Jones. And when you Jones, then go achieve you for Jones. Aqualabo, they in a Denny Jones. Man they high, man they fuck, man they Jones. On Colos, you go Jones. And when you Jones, then go achieve you for Jones. Where you go take in a pre. Aqualabo.
All right, so let's listen with that.
Na fasa bi marala 7 a.m. Where you in a Denny Jones? Men they high, men they fuck, men they Jones. On Colos, you go Jones. And when you Jones, then go achieve you for Jones. Aqualabo, they in a Denny Jones. Men they high, men they fuck, men they Jones. On Colos, you go Jones. And when you Jones,
All right, so this is the thing, yeah. Pushing it to the sides tend to push the vocals themselves up. Like the BJVs were more audible, they were more energetic, they were more sort of like thicker, you get. So that's going to emphasize that specific part of the record. These are the things that lead to your macro dynamics. These are the things that tend to build the record. You get, these are like the automation part of things. It's not you just pulling lines and squares and saw waves and etc. This the arrangements where you're putting where you're placing these elements, where you're placing these stakes also do matter. So yeah, for my sparse elements, that's for vocal takes that are just ad libs, basically ad libs. For my ad libs, most of my ad libs always go to the pan. Take them anywhere they did. So anywhere you find these specific elements, they just dance around. I am not trying to control them. I have pan man on there. Just do you pan it all around. So anywhere the elements are, you find them. The only bad side or the downside is possibly there is a take and it sounds great at this end. And when printing the first revision of the mix, when you print the second one, you might find them staying here. Then the artist might not like that. If the artist requests that, no, I want this one to be there, then I'll just take it out of that place and pan it to the level that which the artist wants, which happens like once in 20 mixes. That's when the artist is so particular about where he wants the addict to sound that they are mostly just good with whatever it's bouncing at. So yeah. Yeah, so that's everything for the BGVs. So let's go to the lead vocals. So I have my lead vocals done premix vocal. It's been premixed before me mixing it. Even still mixing it, I still find myself still getting things up. All right. So everything all sends to the boss. Sent to the boss, I have an EQ on here. Doing okay, broad stroke. So I had roll off at around 90. I had a broad boost at 1K. Then I had a shelf, an eye shelf at around 1600. to duck it down. So I felt like this would only have been done with respect to what I felt from this. So sometimes I mix not so that it's not like, oh, so the effect rack give me this, or so I got this from so plugin, then I'm going to throw an EQ on that to fix that. I'm going to throw something on that to fix that. No, sometimes when I get whoever is okay, so I did this. Now this is the problem. Can I fix this from that? Am I running a lot of high mid energy, or am I running a lot of mid energy into this processor? That's why it's reacting this way. Now let's dock that specific part down. Okay, yeah, we docked it down. Now it's acting right. I do not need to put another EQ on that to um to solve that problem, because I've already solved it already. You get. So that way I don't need to have so much. Yes, you can use as much GPUs as possible, you can use as much processors as possible, but I'm also thinking about CPU management. I'm not trying to use 100 plugins, so I'm also thinking about CPU management, and that's why I did on there. So I was trying to manage the resources I have and just do as much as possible with um little resources. Cool. So the first was the EQ, and a simple one, nothing too serious. What else? Oh yeah, I have a DSR, the DSR on there. So the threshold was at minus 37.91, the range 10.87. These numbers I'm stating have no use, but let's continue. So I had a DSR on there to catch sibilances before I process them or before I compress them. Compression, due to the fact that I'm compressing all the bands together, there is a possibility that I'm going to have more of a sibilant frequency based on that. So I do not want that, because I'm pushing the mid part of the vocals and I'm pushing the possible low parts that we're able to sneak in. There's a possibility now the sibilant frequency now is going to gain volume, and that's not what I was going for. So yeah, so that's why I have my DSM before my compressor. Okay, to reuse a compressor here, I use Pro-C. I tend to keep my workflow as transparent as possible, so whatever dates I need, I add them in. You get myself. So if you listen to my vocal takes, most of the time you find them clean. I have clean vocals. Sometimes they are dirty. I think I mixed the song 2 weeks ago that I had to use an analog emulation plugin on there just to add more data. I was going in for more data, so I had to use a different one apart from the decapitator. So yeah, this is the compression on there, not to gain on, but I was just manually gaining myself. I had a medium release on there. I think it's a 3.73 gain. I had a medium release. I had close to medium or fast medium attack time, my ratio. So see, all these are not, the numbers are not they are not needed. What is needed for me personally is what it is doing. You get what it is doing. My picks were close enough, but I was still trying to just get it more unique. So I don't have to be leaning in when I'm listening to it. I can just hear the words clearly. That was what I was going for with the compressor. What I was going for, not what I was not what I was doing, because that can change depending on the source material. Alright, so yeah, decapitator, my field, right? That's doing what it's doing, same old same. Add an high pass on there, low pass on there, a little bit of brightness on there, and a little bit of drive. That's it. So let's see. I think I played this earlier on, with and without. So I'll just do that with and without. They are all working together. Now this is the thing, it's a body. The boss itself are emphasizing each other. Playing them single, like playing the EQ first, then play the DSR, play the compressor first. It's obviously it's going to sound bad than the processed. You get the unprocessed is going to sound bad than the processed. I'm not trying to show off anything. The only thing I can do is switch off everything all together So you can listen to it without then wait, due to the fact that they are all emphasizing each other. You get their work. It's not because I don't have one plugin doing everything. If I have one plugin that can give me all these nodes all together, I'll just use that one plugin and I'll just do everything all together. But based on the fact that I don't have a plugin that is going to give me the Pro Q3 freedom with the DSR on there, with the compressor on there, with the decapitator on there, decapitator itself on there, and the suits. Due to the fact that I don't have that, I would have to make do with what I have. So yeah, what I'm going to do is use everything on here so we can listen without then without.
Abote, money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fast. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor Vengeance when I match and Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aqualabo, gunboat, once I enter, cutthroat, under my shoes, Zobo, bitches feed me, Obo, niggas iron, go low, Teddy Zilla when he bring you loud, that's all low.
Alright, so I'm going to play with presently. Okay, I knew something changed. Okay, so that's a lot of change. So let's listen.
Abote, money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fast. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor Vengeance when I match and Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aqualabo, gunboat, once I enter, cutthroat, under my shoes, Zobo, bitches feed me, niggas iron, go low, Teddy Zilla when he bring you loud, that's all low. 7 a.m. in Danny Jones. Abote, money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fast. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor Vengeance when I match and Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aqualabo, gunboat, once I enter, cutthroat, under my shoes, Zobo, bitches feed me, Obo, niggas iron, go low. Danny Jones. Danny Jones. Danny Jones. Abote, money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over feed and fast. When I needed you, my brother, all I...
So basically one was dull and just there without emphasizing the credibility or the intention of the crowd vocals or there, and the other one was emphasizing it more, even from the lead vocal without the beat, it's from the lead vocals. So yeah, that's what I did on the lead box. This is just for the lead box itself. Now my vocal box all together, I ran a DSR all through them, and this DSR was with respect to what the fresh air was doing. So I have fresh air on here. So I was saturating sort of like the I mid band. This is more like the I mid band, and this is the I band. So I was saturating just a little bit of that, just a little bit of exactly. See, add I mid present, simple. And this one is sorry, add I sparkle, simple. So yeah, so I was trying to just saturate a bit, but it felt like sometimes it does do add what I do not want. You get that extra 6k to it, which is not I made, but it's sort of like hard. No, actually, that's how I made. That's how I made. So yeah, it adds energy to sort of like that 6k, 7k ish. So I tend to need the DSR to like think just a little bit of it. So even when I was doing that, some of that energy still spills up to 10k. You get some of the energy spills up to 10k. So you find my DSR, I think from 7 to 14, always 7 to 14. I'm not trying to stress myself. I'm not trying to think things out. You get, so let's see what's the range. Yeah, 7 to 14 default. Running the same thing all through, catching some between and a little basis. See.
Money disrespect me, I disrespect
and just want to.
Now my pocket steady bleeding over, feed and fast. When I needed you, Lenny Jones. Abote. Money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over, feed and fast. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor avenging when I'm match, I'm Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Aqualabo, gunboat, once I enter, cut throat under my shoes. Zobo, bitches feed me. Obo, niggas iron.
Alright, so that is me squeezing the life out of the PCs and stereo. Alright, cool. So after that, normally I do have this delay end is for me to create an automation at the end of the instrumentation. You get the either a 4th, an 8th, a 16th, sometime an half. You get half note delay, but for this mix I did not do that. I did not do that at all. So apparently we've gone through all the tracks apart from this. I every single time have this on. Okay, this is switched off. This is switched off. I felt like I didn't need them to forget about it. I've been able to touch them during the mix. What I do also, I do sidechain my vocals to my instrumentation. So just a little bit of curve, and this is meant for just the body, not the presence of the vocals, just the body, so the body can just sit in the mix better. Because I don't need to be pushing the volume of the vocals up, and that is everything I did for this mix. So there were some technical issues here and there. This is stop limiter just used for volume. It's just used for volume, and apparently I didn't even use it throughout this whole project, but I do use it for volume. So that's it. 44 channels, a simple one, nothing super serious. I started with the template, changed some things in there, and I was just playing with it. So that's it, everyone, ladies and gentlemen and others. That was how I mixed the record 7 a.m. in Jones by a beautiful artist who I call Snow, and he is a very, very talented songwriter, to be very honest with you. There's this crudeness that comes, this crude energy that comes with this artist, and I would be running a lot of behind the boards or mix breakdowns for most of his records, so we can dive in. All right, so I hope you love this mix down. Let me just play it across just a little bit of it. So you can also find the record. You can find the record on YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify. These are all streaming platforms. Let's search for 7 a.m. in Jones, and you would find it there. So let's listen.
Yeah. Aqualabo. Aboto. You go take a pre where you. Taking him in a neck with the Matepoki. I wanna go there. Lenny Jones. I'm there. Money disrespect me, I disrespect and back. Now my pocket steady bleeding over, feed and fast. When I needed you, my brother, all I see is back. Victor avenging when I'm match, I'm Rottweiler at the back. Preach. Apalabo, gunbo, once I enter, cutthroat, under my shoe, zobo, bitches feed me, obo, niggas iron, go low, get the dealer when he break you loud, that's all low. 7 a.m. in Anthony Jones, men they high, men they fuck, men they Jones, on colos, you go Jones, and when you Jones, then go back kill you for Jones. Apalabo, in Anthony Jones, men they high, men they fuck, men they Jones, on colos, you go Jones, and when you Jones, then you are keeping for Jones. Where you, once you start the step for Jones, zero limitations. Kala talk inside my jeans for the altercations. Hands I like to keep them clean, tough assassination. Very bullet for your body, Kala infestation. Caro mirror to Jones, where you, traffic always the joke. So when the windows up, tell the bunny make you the joke. Make you joke on my penny, you go do one with E. Where you, and when last my pull up, I go hit you. Better than Apalabo, bring it in. Vibration, this one are the genesis. I get some boys them on island too. Community road all the way to work by beat too. Now I don't blow like a dynamite, hotter than a Fahrenheit. My confidence be like gold.
Alright, so I hope you love that. You can go listen more, put it on repeats on streaming platforms. Just search for 7 a.m. in Jones, and peace.